What is up, Earthnoids, Spacenoids, and new types alike? It has been a while since I've made a video, I apologize, but I am back and ready to tell you all of the history of Universal Century. The last video we discussed the advent of Char's rise to power, or as you like to remind me in the comments, he helped inspire Garmazabi to take command of his fellow 200 cadets from the recently created Autonomous Republic of Zeon Military Academy at Guardian Bianchi at Side 3 and ambush Fetty installations looking to seize control of their operation. This came to be known as the Dawn Rebellion and debatably the start of the 1-year war. Zoom City praised the cadets and they were treated as heroes. However, due to Dozel's negligence, he was forced to resign as the superintendent of Zeon's military academy. Don't be too sad for him, however. With the power of nepotism, we shall see in this video that not only does this lead to him being the vice admiral of a fleet, the Dawn Rebellion also created a circumstance in which he met his future wife. Nothing says love like distracting your commander at gunpoint. If the Dawn Rebellion was the linchpin to kicking off the 1-year war, the Battle of Loum solidified its fate and is the start of Mobile Suit Gundam's biggest running theme, war is bad on all sides. Thanks to the Minovsky particle, the mobile suits were no longer bound to utility, such as construction. It could now be used for various purposes, including military conflict. Here we will see Char shine as a mobile suit pilot, and we will see how he earns the nickname the Red Comet. So let's get into this devastating battle. We will go over the fallout of Operation British and follow a step-by-step playbook of the events of this battle that occurred in the middle of January in UC 0079. If you are looking to dive into a series that showcases the Battle of Loum, be sure to watch Mobile Suit Gundam Origin and Mobile Suit Gundam Igloo, as of course Mobile Suit Gundam the Origin manga. So let's get into this. In the history of mankind, there has never been a decisive battle in space, let alone a fleet battle. Soldiers make history. These words were uttered in Mobile Suit Gundam Igloo, and no words were ever wiser considering the outcome of the Battle of Loum. Now, one thing I would like to point out are some inconsistencies in time. If you watch Igloo, as well as follow along with some of the original Gundam canon, it seems that the actual battle took place on the 15th of January and lasted about 2.5 days. However, Gundam Origins mentions this battle takes place on January 23rd, so take the dates with a grain of salt. However, I'm going to mention that this battle takes place on the 15th. What we do know about this conflict is that it occurred in mid-January of Universal Century 79, and that the battle lasted about 3 days, and the build-up and the aftermath lasted about 10 days. After the failed attempt at destroying Jaburo during Operation British, it was clear that Zeon would attempt another colony drop. Hold on. I know what you are saying. Are you glossing over a colony drop? The most interesting, destructive, and most importantly, memeable events surrounding the lore of Gundam. Yes, I am, and we will return to this point in another video, but for now, bear with me. Operation British is vitally important to the landscape of Earth and played a huge role. But I wanted to emphasize the Battle of Loum, first simply because it was the first fleet battle in UC history. And because it was the one battle where Earth Federation didn't take into account one thing, the creation of the mobile suit. So imagine you are a fleet admiral with decades of naval strategy. Then all of a sudden, you are met with a balloon carrier that drops incendiary bombs from above. You've seen nothing like this. Balloon carriers were considered the first aircraft carriers. These short-range, highly versatile, highly maneuverable planes that require less fuel to carry were a game-changer in military strategy. What we are seeing is the same situation playing out in space for the first time. The Federation might have understood how a Guazian-class Zeon ship operates, but it doesn't seem like they were prepared for the Zeon forces using what is usually a transport ship to carry mobile suits into the battlefield. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to be butchering and bastardizing these names very much, so I look forward to you guys commenting that. It is along with the use of the Minovsky particle to hinder Federation forces' scouting abilities, which make this one of the more fascinating Gundam battles from a perspective of military strategy. So after this 1-week conflict that ended with a failed attempt at destroying Jaburo, Zeon had their sights on Side 5, also known as Loum. Now remember, each side has its own name, as well as their corresponding number. The Federation got wind of this potential attack, but some speculate that Zeon Zeon leaked this info to the Fedis. Now let's take a look at the players on the battlefield. On the Zeon side, you have Dozel Zabi, who is commanding the First Fleet. Degwin and Garma Zabi are observing from afar on their flagship. Lieutenant Char is a mobile suit pilot for the Sixth Fleet. Along with Char is the Black Tri-Stars, consisting of Gaia, Ortega, and Mash, created by Caecilia for her own mischievous purposes. On the Federation side, you have Lieutenant General Revel, who possessed considerable commanding capabilities in space, air, ground, and sea. Alongside Revel is his second-in-command, Brigadier General Cunningham, who would sacrifice himself during this battle. On top of the players, we need our pieces on the chessboard. In this battle on the Federation side, now remember, I'm going to mess up a lot of these names. We have 48 Magellan-class ships, 63 Salamis-class ships, 118 L-144 minesweepers who played mostly upon, and 84 Columbus-class ships, mainly used to scatter Minovsky particles on the battlefield. On the Zeke side, there are 4 Guazing-class ships, 78 Chevet and Musai-class ships, 34 Jiko assault boats, 22 Papua-class ships, and the number one thing that were used to give the Zeon forces this victory, mobile suits. Now if you notice the vast difference between numbers in Zeon and their Federation forces, Zeon is vastly outnumbered in fleet ships. However, Zeon forces have 320 Zaku 1s and 2,600 Zaku 2s on the battlefield. Remember, Zeon's mobile suit fleet were faster and more versatile on the battlefield. Having a few mobile suits targeting the bridge of a Magellan-class ship was now simpler and didn't need the sheer power of the fleet. Get in, get out. But in order for mobile suits to dominate on the battlefield, the Zeon fleet would need a strategy that would give them the upper hand. They need to surprise the Fedis. On the 13th of January, Dozel Zabi has command of the first Zeon combined fleet. See, everything worked out for him. He groups up at Solomon, which is like an asteroid, which at this time is under construction. Along with this fleet is the QCX-76A Jormungand, a prototype Minovsky-powered beam cannon. Meanwhile, the Federation forces were gathering at Luna 2. Lieutenant General Revel ordered all available ships to join him. So let's look at the board. So Solomon is located here, in between the L5 and L2 point. This is where the Zeon fleet is located. Over here, at Luna 2, is where the Earth forces are gathering. The Fedi trajectory is simple. Head straight to side 5. Zeke trajectory is the loop around the dark side of the moon and make a stop at Granada, the moon's second largest city. It is here that Dozel linked up with more of the fleet and created a true Zeonic front. On January 15th, Dozel and the fleet made it to Side 5. Knowing that they were on their way, the Federation forces would be a little late to the game. Although looping around the moon while going radio black helped, what was the biggest player in this battle was the pulse engine. These pulse engines contain Minovsky particles, which by effect make typical radar used during this time relatively useless. Zeon forces placed these pulse engines onto the 11th colony of Side 5, as well as placed them in the rear and front of their fleets. Once the Federation forces finally made their way to Side 5, Revel noticed that radars were jammed and utterly useless. They were going in completely blind. Revel sends out the announcement to the world, "I expect a good fight from you all." And this was the signal of the beginning of the battle. The battle has begun. The Fedis had to rely on their eyes for most of the battle, as their radars were useless. But for Revel, this probably didn't seem like a problem, as their fleet was superior in numbers. Once the 6 mobile fleet were on their way, the Zeon First Fleet split up, keeping a strong front while moving to assist the mobile fleet. This was a tough game of cat and mouse for the Federation, as they were relying mostly on visual confirmation. Now this is where Jormungand comes in. I think I'm pronouncing that right, and although it could play a bigger role in this battle, it didn't happen. My guess is that mobile suit technology was the clear winner of this conflict. It revolutionized the war at this time. Much like the mobile suit, Jormungand, that's a mouthful, man. Jormungand was an experimental project that just never took off after mobile suits came to market. Sure, it showed up a few years later, a couple times, but it was clear that there was a better use of the Minovsky particle technology. In Igloo, we see Char coming in to finally help out the diverted fleet. He sends a message stating that they could hold back while the mobile fleet takes command. However, in Origin, Char goes in guns blazing and 3 times normal speed. The mobile suits come in picking off Magellan-class ships, without the help of their radar, they assume that these are smaller fleet ships on Xeon. But it isn't till they get visual confirmation that it is a mobile suit. This is something that the Federation truly wasn't prepared for. Char single-handedly destroyed 5 Magellan and Salamis class ships. Once the mobile fleet came in, there was nothing left for the Feddies to do but to retreat. But for most, it was too late. General Revel's ship was destroyed. However, he was able to escape via an escape pod. The Black Tri-Stars considered killing the escape pod, but notices the Admiralty is on board. They use this opportunity to capture Lieutenant General Revel as a POW. Because of this, Cunningham uses this opportunity, thinking that Revel is KIA, to take his fleet, the Tiamin fleet, and shield the remaining Federation ships fleeing. In Origin, he also had the opportunity to attack Degwan Zabi's Guazin class flagship, but chose not to. The Tiamin fleet was soon eviscerated on the battlefield, but allowed little of what's left of the Federation to escape. The first combined fleet of Xeon decided to cease operation and return to Solomon in Side 3. The Federation forces lost 36 Magellan-class ships, 139 Salamis-class ships, and all but 2 Minesweepers and 2 Columbus-class ships survived. Around 80% of all Federation forces were destroyed during this battle. On the Zeke side, 2 Guazin-class ships were damaged, 22 Chevet-class ships were heavily damaged or destroyed, and 4 Papua-class ships were slightly damaged as they were in the rear. I have no data on how many Zakus were damaged or destroyed, so if you know, throw that knowledge my way. They couldn't have all made it out, right? Oh yes, and not to mention that all of Side 5 was destroyed, including its 2 billion inhabitants. Gone in a day. I think the importance here is time. Between Operation British and the Battle of Loum, roughly a week has passed. 2 billion lost in space after 16% of Australia became uninhabitable. We could say that devastating losses were seen everywhere. The Battle of Loum would not only be the first fleet battle to ever occur, but it would also be the last. With the creation of the Minovsky particle, traditional techniques of using radar were no longer an option. Now start seeing an innovation in Minovsky technology, not only in the creation of the Gundam, but you will also see your prototypical fleets armed to handle a post-radar world. Xeon made a propaganda broadcast on January 17th to all Earth, showcasing their battle results, new weapons, and captured Revel, boosting Xeon morale while further lowering Federation morale. This certainly was a gut punch to the Federation forces, and further weakened by the later peace treaty signing between Xeon and the neutral colony Side 6. Would it lead to the Earth Federation signing a peace treaty with the Xeon forces? Well, we shall find out next time. That'll do it for this video. In the future, we shall see what happens with the capture of Revel, and of course, we will talk about that colony drop you are all lusting over. I can sense it. I am a new type after all. I want to thank the website, the Anaheim Journal. They had a really cool write-up on the Battle of Loum, and I used them as a reference point throughout this video. But that will do it for now, new types. Catch you next time. Peace.